When you think about Chanukah, probably the first thing that will come to your mind, maybe aside from some of the food or the time spent with family and friends, is lighting the menorah. After the Jews finally beat the Greeks, a massive miracle, they go into the Beis HaMikdash, everything is ruined, everything is impure, and they find the one jug that had the seal of the Kohen Gadol, the seal of the high priest. They light it, and lo and behold, it lights for 8 days. That was the Chanukah miracle, and therefore every year we light the menorah to remember that miracle. But while it all sounds nice and meaningful, it seems like we might have got a couple details wrong in our standard menorah you see today. For starters, the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash was lit indoors, and while we light our menorah also indoors, we have a special emphasis on Persumei Nisa, putting it by the door, or having public outdoor menorah lightings. That was something that was not acceptable in the Beis HaMikdash. In the Beis HaMikdash, they would also light the same number of candles every single day, the same 8 every day. And probably the most bizarre out of all of them is that the menorah was lit while it was still day in the Beis HaMikdash. When it comes to us though, the menorah is specifically lit at night. So if we're trying to resemble and commemorate the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash, shouldn't we make an effort to be more like the way it was back then? Fulfilling the words, Bayamim Hahem Bizman Hazeh, just like those days, so too these days, but clearly our menorah today and the way we do things are much different. The idea is, as the Rebbe explains, that when it came to the time period of the Beis HaMikdash, aside from right before its destruction, the time period of the Beis HaMikdash was mainly centered around peace, prosperity, wealth. They had no war, they had no struggle. Compare that to 2025, Tafshin Pei Vav. You have a very different world. You have a world where you're struggling to find the light. We have a world where everywhere we turn, there are enemies who want to destroy us. But in a way, we have the advantage, because during the times of the Beis HaMikdash, there was no struggle, there was no fight, there was no avodah, there was no giving yourself over. But now in this time, when there is a fight, when the world is the darkest, that's when we come out the brightest. We don't just light the menorah every year to commemorate the Beis HaMikdash. When we light the menorah, we are actually bringing light into this world. We're showing how we are not nispal, we are not dejected, we are not fazed by the darkness around us. And therefore, we do many things that are different to the one in the Beis HaMikdash. We light it when it's darkest. We light it at night. In fact, we light it at night, specifically the time where everybody's meant to be coming home from work, seeing our menorah of Jewish pride. We add an extra candle every night because every day the darkness becomes darker and every day we become brighter. And for this very same reason, we put the menorah as close as you can to the outdoors, where the whole world could see that you're not fazed by the darkness of this world and you will be a beacon of light onto the nations. Look no further for a living example of this in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha again continues the narrative of Yosef HaTzadik, who in the face of all evil, in the face of all bad, stood strong, persevered, ultimately leading to, as we see in this week's Parsha, him able to give that lesson over to his brothers, him becoming second in command of Mitzrayim, second in command of Egypt. And once Yosef did it, once it was done all those years ago, once it was done by the Chanukah miracle, then Bayamim Hahem Bizman Hazeh, look no further than ourselves. Just like in those days, when the going got tough for Yosef, when the going got tough for the Jews against the Greeks, they got going, and they persevered. And even though nowadays we might even have a darker and deeper challenge than them, we have the power to overcome it. We have the power to light that menorah, to bring that spark into the world, to bring the light into the world, to bring holiness into the world. And by doing this, we will ultimately be zeiche to bring Mashiach into the world, and to have a true and complete redemption, where we will be able to light the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, in the third Beis HaMikdash, speedily in our days. Wishing you a freilichen Chanukah and a good Shabbos.